fashion, get Gundam. What are you staring at? Fair enough, but you're coming with me. When I was building this Gunpla, I questioned my habits with fashion. Clearly from this giant wardrobe here, you might consider me somebody who has acquired a lot of clothing, and maybe has never questioned what really is the hobby of fashion. And what's the difference from liking Gunpla to enjoying fashion? Now that question is, when life begins to fall apart, what do? You don't rebuild, you get a new style. Or, better yet, you dye your hair. Breakups, identity crises, definitely moments of uncertainty. All these moments trigger external reinvention. And modern culture teaches us something, that reinventing your looks is the same as changing who you are. But what if I told you fashion isn't self-expression? Rather, it's tied to control. And as I did my research, there are two types of hobbies. One sells you identity, and the other sells you competence. And what exactly is competence? Competence is a proven ability to perform tasks effectively by applying a combination of knowledge, skills, attitudes, and behaviors. Interesting. Have you ever seen someone crash out? We've seen this pattern all before. You break up, you get a new hairstyle, a life crisis, new visual style, usually like a new kind of aesthetic, like a core.
Lumbersexual is one of those things that is an emergence of this millennial get in a van, do van life, get a mustache, wear flannel, get suspenders, wear Filson, wear Red Wings. Lumbersexual.
So when people's lives feel unstable, they reach for the fastest form of control, and that control is appearance. Because improving your life is slow and definitely unguaranteed, yet changing your appearance is immediate. And the thing with fashion is that it offers symbolic transformation. It makes you feel like you're someone new and that the person who was in a crisis is transformed. But structurally, nothing changed. The same problems remain, and the only thing that is different is the costume you wear. And this is what gets us into retail therapy, because retail therapy follows the same structural loop. Distress leads to purchasing, which leads to a temporary relief. Then it's return to Silent Hill. The emotional renewal acts as a therapeutic release when we purchase any item from any retail store. But the problem is it fades quickly due to the fact that consumption doesn't satisfy the
dissatisfaction.
It only regulates it. And that's exactly why that consumption becomes emotional management disguised as self-expression. And while I was researching this topic, I came across Jean Baudrillard.
Jean Baudrillard.
And he is a philosopher that talks about identity as a simulation, and I thought it was a very interesting thing to add him into this specific conversation. An object becomes fashionable or commodified only when it first becomes a symbol of difference, a signifier divorced from intrinsic utility. John argues that modern consumer culture sells signs and not objects. Clothing communicates identity from rebellion, luxury, creativity, and individuality, but these identities are pre-constructed. You don't invent them, the market has you select your loadout from available options. Fashion allows you to purchase a symbol of a life you haven't lived. To Baudrillard, fashion's force is to create an entire life lived out of nothing but external appearances. It's a curated spectacle for others to dissect. He states, in our culture, futility plays a role of transgressions, and fashion is condemned for having within it the force of pure signs which signifies nothing. Now, while Jean focuses on the sign, Veblen's theory of consumptuous consumption provides the why we use objects to signal status. He states, consumptuous consumption of valuable goods is a means of reputability to the gentleman of leisure. He describes that buying goods signals a status, which is purely obvious, I think, for most of us, especially with designer or high-end clothing. The core idea of the concept isn't about the utility of the product and what it does, but what it says about the owner. Example, avant-garde designers, niche clothing, exclusive drops, luxury brands. Even though these don't fall into the same scheme, they are still representations nonetheless. Whether it's a Rolex or a safety-pinned punk leather jacket, they're still tools used to communicate where you stand in relation to a group. Even when a style is anti-status, like punk or avant-garde, it becomes a new type of status within its own circle. You're still buying in, just with a different currency, subculture capital. With this, fashion becomes a hierarchy disguised as individuality. What feels authentic often functions socially. And the outfit becomes a signal before it becomes expression. At this point, I'm starting to think that It's better if we all just go naked and forget about even wearing clothing, because anything that we wear only just signals what in-group we're trying to be a part of. Naked seems to only be the answer. We must return to our roots. But Nietzsche argued that most people adopt values instead of creating them. He states, no shepherd and one herd. Everybody wants the same. Everybody is the same. Whatever feels different goes voluntarily into a madhouse. And I think that fashion trends make this quite visible. And I would also like everyone to remember that there are also fashion trends within certain subcultures or subgroups, sub-styles. But with a trend cycle ever so fast, the herd doesn't want to just look the same. It feels a constant pressure to stay synchronized. A new trend appears, millions follow. The herd is now digital and no longer just local. We're all optimizing towards a digital look that creates a mass-produced uniqueness. Have you ever heard the saying that you can tell someone's screen time by how they dress? That requires both not only the person seeing that, but also the person wearing it to be chronically online. And we can even see this with trends sort of, slowly turning in and out with not only the trend cycle, but the whole laggard situation with what's going on with Utah. Trends aren't inherent in every city. It slowly gets incorporated depending on if the social group agrees with it, which would be the herd. And the herd in Utah, it's mostly Mormon in Utah, but we're starting to see the big baggy pants, the ties with button-ups. Now they're developing that style that was trendy online quite a while ago, but no longer trendy now. Because bigger cities move faster, adapt quicker to the trends, and are more socially accepting of such, but slower laggards like Utah develop a lot slower. The development of what it is only developed because of the social group or the herd allowing these things to be normalized. And it's quite interesting to see that around maybe even your own town, possibly, of people slowly getting into what was already trending and now is kind of dead because now we've moved on to skinny jeans being a new trend again. The cycle is ever so fast. Who gives a shit? Anyway, Nietzsche warns us about the path of least resistance, because staying with the herd is a psychological trade-off where you swap your soul for a sense of safety. Ultimately, this destroys your own evolution due to your fear of being truly alone. I would like to counteract this statement just in general, because I do think that a lot of people that get into fashion, if not segregate themselves from the mainstream ever so much because they feel like they're weird and strange, I do think that you shouldn't ostracize yourself from just normal people and normal way of life, because generally speaking, the most coolest people you'll ever talk to are not into fashion. I'm telling you this right now. Most of my friends, I try to keep away from the fashion community as much as possible, because you actually develop a personality when you're away from that community of individuals. I think fashion attracts a very typical person that tends to be a husk, that is trying to reinvent themselves to gain control, but I think that they haven't developed personality. And I think a lot of the characters or personality people are people that aren't into fashion. They could care less about how they dress. They'd care more about who they are as people, and they develop better than people that get into clothing. Fashion used to be something much more than what it is now. Prior, you would be able to tell who is a character and who is different enough to be alone. But now, being alone is dressing normal, almost. I do feel like there's a necessary nuance to be had here. I feel like if I don't mention this about fashion and I'm just shitting on it, I think people will get pissed off at me, but I'm not necessarily saying that fashion is all inherently consumption-based and it's all identity focused and whatever. It can still be creative, just like Gunpla. A few aspects here are designing, sewing, tailoring, mending, DIY, and these are all hands-on things. Another thing that I'd like to add on, and maybe you can add on in the comment section down below, please subscribe, like, leave a heart to affirm that you think I'm handsome and cool. There's also styling as a form of creation. If you sit in your room and you create outfits and you sort of go around the fact about developing something through the style that you've created, whatever it is, that is a form of creation. And you can't knock that from anybody. The only thing I will knock is if you're getting literally a layout. It's not a custom layout, it's just like a loadout you get from Pinterest and you copy it bar for bar, word for word, then you're not creating anything, you're just copying, right? Takes creativity to make an outfit. I mean, some things are more boring than others, some are more extravagant, but hey, it's skill-based, it takes time to develop, and I won't knock anyone for trying. Like I was saying, these are all intentional forms of creation. But to me, I think modern fashion rarely centers around the act of craft, and it's more centered around the act of acquiring. Because the system rewards purchasing identity far more than actually sitting down and creating it. But what does this have to do with Gundam? Well, recently I acquired this hobby about a year-ish ago, and it really taught me to slow down. And sure, the aspects of buying still exist, but the act of physically sitting down and creating occurs. The stillness of solitude as you build creates a rejuvenating self-involvement that isn't focused around your physical appearance, just like fashion. But the main idea here is that the journey is in creating rather than the blips of instant gratification you garner from buying. I believe that hobbies are meant to really slow down your life to bring you back from the chaotic, random existence we live in. Because if the hobby doesn't do that for you, then you'll burn out. Gundam's core community is defined by the meditative creative process of assembly. And although you can buy and own Gunpla and it exists in a consumeristic aspect where you can have giant backlogs like you can see with many people, even myself slightly, there's still the act of needing to build said thing, as well as customizing with painting and panel lining is meditative. You're alone with yourself, you exist with yourself as you build and create something. It's rejuvenating. And this is where we get into the involvement of being in home. Existing in a place that you're comfortable with, the environment needs to be safe. And to add on to that, there is also the memories attached to the objects that you do have and that you acquire. There's something a bit different about what you build that actually has memory attached to it. Anyone can go to Japan and buy a piece of clothing like I have done in my past videos before, but the only attachment that I have is the place that I acquired the object in. There's no memory, nothing attached to it. The memory has to grow with the clothing that is easy to acquire, but that takes quite a minute to build up. But the thing about building and creating something like even this Gunpla, there's a memory attached to it with the involvement of my life. For a small little story, this kit took me quite a while to build only because I had to leave my home, which is here, and I had to go out to Los Angeles, which you'll see in the vlog later that I put down in this video, but I had to take care of Kay. Kay had surgery, and during that moment and during my life, I will always remember that this kit was being built while I had to go to Los Angeles, take care of her, and any other binomial things that were a big part of my life in building this kit. And all these other kits that I have surrounded me are all built within a time period of my life that I can look back and remember what I was going through, whether it was good, bad, tragic, who knows. The other thing to note too as well is that Gundam doesn't necessarily have value. There is this conversation that I've had with a group of my friends. I've always had this conversation. It's kind of a big debate thing where it's the idea of acquiring items for cheap, but because there's value attached to it, would you have actually purchased the product? I have a lot of clothes that are Yoji. Even this knit that I'm wearing right now is Yoji. Would I have bought this knit if I saw it in a rack at like Goodwill? Maybe, maybe not. But I think a lot of the the value behind it being, you know, a Poro mainline piece that I got this for $8, so you know, whatever. But would I have bought this if it had no branding in it and I didn't even know it was Yoji? The tag didn't say Yoji on it? No, probably not. I might have questioned it. But I know that there's value behind it where I can actually go and resell it later. With these kits here that I've been building and taking my time to produce and create, there is no value. There might be an aftermarket where people might buy it for really, really cheap, way cheaper than you would buy it the actual box for. But at the end of the day, there's no financial gain that you get from the actual product that you've created. This object only has value to you. So the journey is about developing a relationship with the objects you have that create that value on why you even own it to begin with. I think a good relationship from Gundam to fashion is people that invest solely in their denim. I think denim has been a piece of fabric or clothing that I've been pretty interested in, with the idea of the amount of time that you put into it. It's a time sink, and there's a relationship built with each fade that is acquired through wear. I had a friend that had, in his denim, he would always carry a pack of Zins around with him, and you can see the fade of the Zins, or your phone, or your wallet, or your keys. And to me, that's what makes denim very interesting to me, because it builds a relationship with the owner throughout the time being worn. And that, if not, creates more value personally with that person to that clothing piece, more than a lot of the pieces of clothing that you might have in your wardrobe. Develop memories with the objects you have so that they have more value to you personally. But now let's compare a skill-based hobby like Gundam to fashion. Building Gunpla emphasizes slow progression, meditativeness, delayed gratification, some sort of practice, and mastery. Consumption-based hobbies like fashion change appearance but won't allow you to develop competence. This skill deepens and grounds you, creating a stronger confidence within yourself that aesthetics can't bring you fully. In the act of creation and consumption, produce identity very differently. Consumption is instant, easily replaced, and purchased. It seduces you with the idea of changing how you appear. Anything skill-based is slow, earned, fully embodied through effort and time. Oh, and it's also hard to fake, because look at these clean panel lines, but also you can take a look at this really bad paint job. I can't fake how bad that looks. Creation changes what you're capable of, but soon enough I'll be hand painting full-blown kits instead of painting small details. And there's many skill-based things with Gunpla. There's even scribing, where you're able to scribe into the plastic detail lines that, if not, create more depth and interest while you look, as well as painting and customizing kits to make it your own. And that's why creation changes what you're capable of doing. But with all that being said, there are cultural consequences that we see. There's an increase of encouragement to find identity through consumption, aesthetics like cores, and curated images of how to even brand ourselves. This is all done while neglecting true skill, discipline, and craft. We are slowly becoming proficient at curating identities instead of actually developing abilities. Fashion often builds identity through how we appear to others, while craft hobbies build identity through what we're capable of doing. One identity depends on external recognition, the other grows from internal development. And in an age dominated by algorithms and social media, the difference matters more than ever. And I'd also like to add on that transformation doesn't happen externally, you can still be internally a husk. It's all about the journey and the frustration of building something up over time. But even then, the most boring, uninteresting, and evil people dress incredibly well. But hopefully that isn't you. We are in Hackensack for Gundams. This is the Mecca of Gundam. Where are we at?
We're at Gundam
We're in
Planet.
Secaucus, New Jersey.
For Gundam Planet.
For Gundam Planet.
It's all in here. I want this kit. There is a ton out here in this. The amount of stuff in this section is insane.
Dude, these boots are so sick. Yeah.
So what are we looking at in terms of what you like right now?
So we have the pirate. That's what's that? The Lucas Nemesis.
The crossbones.
Crossbones.
So sick. That is.
And he has a
so sick.
like a plasma
The
shield.
plasma shield and the plasma sword.
Yeah.
And then what's the other
Or
one?
the giant buster sword, and all it is just purely melee. So I'm still caught up. I'm still looking though.
Yeah, there's just tons of selection here. So what are you looking at right now?
So right now I'm looking at this one that's like a samurai situation. But I liked it because it's all black and white. But I also think it's really cool that he has the katanas. And then number 2, this one's a little more expensive.
This one's cool.
He's all see-through glittery, purple. And he has bat wings that come out.
So it's between those two right now?
Right now.
Is there nothing else that piques your interest in all this?
There's a lot, but there's a lot.
We made it back to the city, And now I'm gonna be showing off what they ended up purchasing Gundam wise. So, George,
Yes.
why did you pick up the GMS Red Gundam high grade?
I picked him up because he has a couple different actions. He is super dynamic and he's kind of like a leaner build compared to most. I feel like the standard builds are more slender and have a little bit more mobility. I feel like the other ones are a little too thick. And he's red, and I really like was upset with the blue, white, red combo. I feel like it's very classic, but I want to do something a little bit different.
All right, what did you pick up?
So the Gundam I chose is... So I chose this one. I had several contenders, but the reason I ended up choosing this one was, one, I wanted one that leaned a little bit more feminine, because I don't see a lot of Gundams that lean into the more feminine, and I thought it'd be interesting to find one that was like slightly femme. And I liked it because, one, I like the clean, futuristic kind of colorway. I think a lot of the Gundams go for more Mecca, and this one felt more kind of futuristic, like that you would see in a sci-fi film, which I liked better than some of the like more war or like Mecca themed ones. What I also like about it is that it's got a very consistent colorway, but then you have these pops of green, and you also have these like kind of like weird machine tendrils that are attached with little robots on the ends, and I thought that was kind of like an interesting touch. And the only thing that's really femme is the heels, and I kind of like that.
There wasn't a lot of real grade options.
She's the
when
one
it
that
came
spoke
down
to
They were
it.
kind of
It
balls.
It was either real grade or master grade. And
It was the
this
master.
is-
The master grades were pretty.
all the master grades
Were
were
awesome.
crazy, but
all the real grades weren't
we wanted
cool.
to put it.
Between the two of ours, whose do you like better though?
I kind of like George's better.
What?
It's just the detail. The detail of the Red Gundam's like a lot cooler, I think.
What? Are you serious?
It's just too sleek for me. I like
Okay,
the,
well I like
the
the
more,
sleek. I like the futuristic.
more
so.
intensity of this.
Yeah.
It's kind of wild.
Honestly, he kind of is giving Gladiator as well, with
Yeah.
his mace that he's throwing around.
We ended up getting other things.
Yeah.
This
so,
is a $500 1900s doll.
George became best friends with her.
But
yeah.
I haggled the guy down and got this
It's
this sterling silver,
and then the other one's
Oh.
in my purse, unfortunately. I can
and then
grab
this
it, though.
other sterling silver like bangle for $160.
I can get it.
But Perline is a great girl. She cooks
Yeah, she
and she just makes sure you're loved
Yeah,
in every
absolutely.
capacity.
Now we're going back home, so yeah. But I will say, if you have the opportunity and you're interested in slowing down the life, developing something that is a skill hobby, try out Gunpla. Join the community. They're so much nicer than I've ever experienced any other hobby community ever before. Fashion tends to be all judgmental. Usually, a lot of the community is very mean, domineering, elitist, even a fashion elitist. And if you have the opportunity at some point, go buy a pair of $8 nippers, get a nice cool looking kit, build it with your friends, or sit at home alone and do so alone, and see if you like it. I think I've learned a lot of interesting aspects of myself while I've built. I've had a lot of interesting thoughts while I've built, and I think the peace that I've gained from sitting away from all the external craziness, especially with social media and using my phone, this hobby has definitely transformed me into being somewhat more peaceful, I'd say. But I would like to ask you, the audience, what are some skill-based hobbies that you have that aren't just fashion? If you're a Gunpla enjoyer, what other hobbies do you have that you feel are skill-based? I'm quite interested. Leave them down in the comment section below. Maybe I might develop a thing for them. Who knows? I'd say reading a book is pretty skill-based. My brain hurts after I read. Anyway.
Hurry, I say hero, yeah, these shit look like Converse. Bitch, I'm in a trench coat wearing Mason, my jealous stompers. Rest in peace, Virgil, man, he didn't have to die like this. Man, rest in peace, Virgil, man, he didn't have to die like this.